What's going on, everyone? It's Brody here. Today I'm going to give you my 5 tips for saving money on Pokemon cards. So the first tip that I think is the most important and one that not everyone's going to agree with is probably not to open packs but to just buy the single cards that you're after. All the guys that I know that are opening and ripping on YouTube and stuff, you're going to hate me for this one, but my biggest piece of advice is probably not to open packs at all. You can save so much money just buying singles. The chances of pulling some of these old hearts and the different rarity stuff in modern Pokemon is just so difficult to get. You're opening hundreds if not thousands a pack, and I've been lucky before, and you get lucky in that you'll pull a card in a couple of packs and it's like $150 card in a $6 pack, and you're like, yeah, I got it. Like you're super happy. But most of the time, especially if you're trying to complete sets and things, my best advice is to just buy the single cards. So my second piece of advice and recommendation for saving money on Pokemon is to actually wait, especially when a new set comes out, is to actually wait until the set's been out a short period of time. So even if that's a month, 3 months, or sometimes 6 months, or even 12 months later, is when cards they stabilize out and they become really cheap, they become cheap in relation to how much they were when they first hit the market. There's a lot of Charizard cards that when they come out, they hit $300, $200, and then within a month or 2 months, they really stabilize out and they come down to somewhere where they sit quite flat for a while, and then from there they might go up or down. But yeah, they'll usually stabilize after a period of time. So that second recommendation is to wait for cards, particularly if you are trying to complete a set, because a set's so large, is to just wait until it's been out for a while. My third recommendation is to actually buy cards at auction if you can. It doesn't always work out, but a lot of the time, and typically on eBay and different platforms like that, you'll find that you can pick stuff up at auction over buy it now for anywhere from 10 to 30% less than the buy it now price. So yeah, auctions are really good for that. I've definitely picked up a few different auction items, both single cards and graded cards, and you can get them far below what they've been selling for. My fourth recommendation, and one that's not super important, but I think it's worth noting, is that just being focused around what you want to collect and not looking at what your friends are collecting. Your friends say, oh, buy this card, this is so awesome. Try to focus in on what you're after, and just go down that track of collecting what you want to collect, and not getting FOMO into other stuff, because it will take you off the path, and it means that you're not going to have money to spend on what you really want to collect, and you'll be grabbing all this other different stuff. So that's my fourth recommendation, is to not FOMO in and don't listen to your friends. Final recommendation actually is related to graded Pokemon cards. All the other stuff has kind of been around singles, but this one is around graded Pokemon cards. So my biggest piece of advice, and I am someone who grades Pokemon cards and flips them, but my biggest piece of advice, and this is going to work negatively for me because I sell PSA 10 modern cards, is that not to buy modern PSA 10 yourself, is to actually grade them yourself, because you're going to save so much money in the long run. You're going to save thousands. I can give you examples of myself. Like I'm trying to complete if you haven't already seen my content before, I'm trying to complete a PSA 10 self-graded alt art set from Sword and Shield, and I just worked out some costs for the 12 most expensive ones that I've got, and I would have spent about $2,500 on getting all those raw and then grading them, and I think they probably got like a $5,000 value if I was to sell them today. So it's almost, I've almost saved, in a way, $2,500 by not going out and buying the PSA 10 and trying to get the raw cards. Although harder, obviously, it's not always as easy as saying buy raw and grade. Some cards are really hard to come across. There's older cards that I would say it's probably easier just to pick up the 10s. And that's something that I have. Some of my cards I picked up in 10s because it was just too hard to find them raw, and the condition of them wasn't there. So I do recommend, trying to pick stuff up raw and grading it yourself rather than buying it from someone directly. There's plenty of middlemen out there. There's plenty of people that can help you do it yourself, and there's lots of YouTube videos and stuff like that. So that was my 5 tips to save money on Pokemon. If you have any other tips that you think are worthwhile noting, leave them in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks, bye.